So it is my pleasure to introduce this wonderful panel of students and alums, starting off with Aaron Kessler, who's our second-year International Development student, Cliff Martin, who's our second-year International Studies student. Next to him, we have Sofia Conte, who graduated in 2007 from our International Development Program. She actually currently works as the manager of major gifts and planned giving at Goodwill. Olga Smirnova, did I pronounce that right? Excellent. Olga graduated in 2006 from our International Administration Program and is currently the Director of Project Management at Western Union. And then we have Pete Gingras, who graduated in 2008 from International Development. And you're going to have to explain where you work. CNJV, as a program specialist, and also a Return Peace Corps volunteer, I just realized. So we're going to start off with Erin, who's going to talk a little bit about her experience in our program.
I'm Erin Kessler, and I'm a second-year development student. My concentrations are in refugee rights, and then I'm getting a certificate in humanitarian assistance. At DU, I'm in the human trafficking clinic. I'm the communications coordinator for that and can answer questions about that as well. I've done 2 previous internships, and I'm doing an internship in the winter quarter in Thailand, as well as conducting thesis research, and I'll be entering into the Peace Corps, so can answer questions about any of those things.
Hi, I'm Cliff Martin. I'm a second year, international studies student. I come originally from the DC area, so yes, it's possible. I had an internship recently with the Institute for International Education here in Denver. Like I said, I'm an international studies student with concentrations in the Middle East and diplomacy. I'm happy to talk about some of the faculty that I've encountered and had courses with as well, and currently working with the dean in the dean's suite, and I'm having a great experience at Korbel. So.
Hi, I'm Sofia Conte. I graduated in 2007, which seems like a really long time ago. My master's degree is in international development, and I focused on Latin America and human rights and global health. I have a global health certificate from JKSIS as well. Currently, I'm working here locally with a nonprofit called Goodwill, which many people know about. They know about the retail stores, but we actually help people get out of poverty and go to work. And my job is to raise money for the programs. And I love my job, I love my career path, and I loved going to school at JKSIS.
Hi, and I'm the only person who did not get the water. But my name is Olga Smirnova, and I graduated in 2006. I did the International Administration program here. Loved my experience, and in addition to having a great time at school, was lucky enough to get a job offer from Western Union literally 4 days after the graduation ceremony, and have been with them ever since. I joined Western Union in June of 2006, right after we graduated. I started in the CFO area of the organization, then kind of worked my way around different functional areas, moved from CFO to IT and operations, and then from there moved onto the actual revenue generating business development side, where I still am. And I focused it here at school. My focus was international project management, and that's exactly what Western Union required, and that's how I got in. So we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Good evening. My name is Pete Gingras. I graduated in March of 2008 with a degree in international development. While I was here, I had the fortune to have 2 different internships. I worked locally for a microfinance agency here in Denver, which is somewhat rare. It's becoming more commonplace now. And that was ultimately who I got hired by post-education. I also took the opportunity to spend the summer in Jordan abroad. And so I worked for Habitat for Humanity, doing strategic planning processes for their new building program in Amman. So I had a really good experience internship-wise, both locally and abroad. I currently work for a contracting company to the Department of Energy called CNJV, and I monitor some stimulus money for renewable energy projects on Native American reservations. So I've always been interested in kind of the cultural exchange. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and that was a great benefit of coming to the Korbel School. And so I work with a lot of Native American tribes in the Pacific Northwest, helping them to implement renewable energy projects. I'm happy to answer any questions about what I do now or my experience as well. Thanks.
Thank you. So we're going to open it up for questions to our students and our alums. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. How come you decided to come from DC to here?
So the question's directed to Cliff. And the question is, how come you decided to come to Denver instead of staying in DC?
Have you been to DC? No, I grew up there. My grandparents actually, when they first came from abroad, settled in DC. So yeah, I think it's just the natural inclination to get elsewhere. And I have come to Denver, and I actually have a few extended family members here too. So that's sort of, I don't know, I guess the opportunity to go to school for international studies with the Rockies as your natural surrounding is pretty sweet. So yeah, it's been great all around. So I think I'm much happier here than I would have been back in '95 traffic. Yeah, so.
Yes. I have a general question. Do any of you, as you were students, have families?
So the question is, for any of you, do you have, while you were a student, were you part of a family or did you have a family? I guess you're all part of families. Did you have a family here?
I have a husband but no children, so I've definitely had to have that work-life balance worked out in my own life. But I do know several people who have had babies while they're here, women, and they've, made it work. My neighbor actually is a young married couple, and they both come to Korbel, and she just had their first child in the last month. So I think she's just taking a little bit less hours this quarter, and then they'll be graduating early in the winter quarter. So, they're making it work for their family, and I think it's definitely doable. It's something that you'll have to think about, but you'd have to think about that with, any other graduate program or employment that you would have anyway, so.
Yeah, they actually just brought their baby to class last week. No joke.
Professor
Yeah.
asked them to, actually, but.
And I just got engaged, so life is possible in grad school too. So.
I did not have a family when I was in grad school, but I also knew people who did, and I can say that the professors here, the staff here, and the students here are all very supportive, so I think it would be fine to do.
I only had a husband, no kids, but my best friend had a 3-year-old, and she hung out here pretty much all the time. I think she kind of became like a daughter, huh?
That's because you had a 3-year-old.
Right, and then a girl in my class actually was pregnant throughout our second year and had her baby literally, I think maybe a couple of months before we graduated. And I still remember sitting and working on papers as a group of 6 or 7, and she'd be sitting there and breastfeeding, kind of in parallel, and we were okay with that, obviously. So it's super cozy here, so it's very conducive to bring your kids with you.
I did not have a family at that time. I think that I wanted to reiterate the flexibility that the staff provides. Just any request that you had in making your time your program development, different things happen. They're here to support you, and I think that's really important for individuals that have other responsibilities outside of the academic world.
This is just a general question. For your first year, did you live on campus or did you go straight to off-campus living?
So the question is, for your first year, did you live on campus or off campus?
When I got back from Peace Corps, I think I was 26 at the time, so I did live off campus. I lived a little bit closer to the city, and I remained there my entire time. So
I lived off campus as well, but spent a lot of time on campus because, you know, I'm originally from Russia, so I had a very tight-knit group of girlfriends from like Russia and CIS, like about 15 of them I want to say, and they all were living on campus because they didn't move to US, they just came to study here, and we just partied all the time.
I was 24 and I lived off campus. I had done that already, so.
Yeah, I used to work in admissions, and I would privately recommend not to live on campus, just because you have much better housing, frankly, for graduate students, and off campus, I mean, and there's so many places that are available within walking distance. It's very easy, and cost of living relative to other urban campuses is pretty low, so you're bound to find something before you come here. So.
Yeah, I lived downtown my first year, and then now I live in Cherry Creek. I would say I don't know anyone that lives on campus, but people live nearby, and people found roommates either kind of through networks at Korbel or on Craigslist, or brought their husband with them. So.
And I would say that's the majority. Most graduate students live off campus. There's certainly on-campus graduate housing available. It is a bit pricey, and there's opportunities off campus, but definitely as you're exploring your opportunities here in Denver or with other APSIA schools in DC and in New York, San Francisco, keep in mind the cost of living, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, this institution in DC is a little bit cheaper tuition-wise, but then you factor in, about $10,000, $11,000 per year for housing, and it actually, the cost of attendance is pretty comparable. So just something to keep in mind.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
How would you describe the student culture at the Cornell School?
So how would you describe the student culture at the Korbel School?
In 4 words, work hard, play hard. I mean, it's Colorado, so it's business casual, and it's snowboarding on the weekends, and if that means you have to pull an all-nighter because you skied all day, then you do it. But yeah, very open, very friendly. Everyone's had all kinds of international experiences. So most likely, where you came from before, you're maybe one of the only people who, had a human rights perspective internationally, or had been to 20 different countries. But when you come here, it's just really cool because everyone's had those experiences. So, yeah.
I would agree with that.
I would agree too. I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't think that I came across one person that I did not like here.
I don't know if I can say the same, but
I was just going to say, we really did not pay them, I swear.
no, I think the best part, this has been my second master's. I've done the first one back in Russia in linguistics, and I think I've really enjoyed this one so much more, not just because of the excellent quality of the program, but because of the student culture and the community. The diversity is so amazing that you probably will never, and I can just say that right here and right now, will never have a chance to be in a group of people for 2 years from that many countries at the same time and representing that many. I never had a chance to, and I travel for work globally all the time, but it's just you either go to one country or to another. Here is the whole world is brought to you in a classroom, and everybody's very open. We did, student potlucks where people would bring their national food. We did the cultural evenings. Just spend a lot of time together. And I would, on top of that, I would agree that the work hard atmosphere is definitely in there. People here do like to work hard.
Yeah, I would say that it was diverse when I was here. And I say diverse in the sense that people came in with all different types of perspectives. I had a number of friends that were obviously returned Peace Corps volunteers, and it's easy to get into conversations with them and talk about similar topics. But I also had a number of friends that were in international security, and you don't always see eye to eye with them, but had great relationships. I just wish more of them stayed around Denver. Unfortunately, most of them headed to Washington, D.C.
Did any of you work full-time during your degree, and if so, how long did your degree take?
So did any of you work full-time, and if so, how long did it take? I can answer that, because I'm actually also a student here. I'm in the International Studies program part-time, and I work as the Associate Director of Admissions full-time. I'm also a Return Peace Corps volunteer, so I'm in the Fellows program. So I'm only doing 72 credits. It's taken me about 4.5 years. I have my last class this winter. So it's a long haul. And the other downside to going part-time is it's a per credit charge. So currently it's $1,026 if you go part-time per credit, whereas it's a flat rate, 12 to 18 credits if you go full-time. So financially, it's in your best interest to go full-time and work part-time.
But I would say the majority of people that I know, and then what I do personally, is work part-time, maybe 15 to 30 hours a week, depending upon what you can handle. And then I've taken 18 credit hours every quarter and will graduate early while doing about 15 to 20 hours part-time work, as well as a 15 to 20 hour internship. So in a way, it's kind of full work, but just spread out over different days and times. So.
I wanted to ask a question kind of about the type of thinking that's encouraged here. So I've heard a lot about the job focus, and I think that's really good. But I heard one professor say, if you want to eradicate global poverty, come with me. And I think it's impossible to make a statement with that like that without talking about all the implications that would come with eradicating global poverty. There's a normative quality. It's not these issues are black and white in their moral quality. And I get concerned that maybe the job focus encourages thinking about how the system is as it is, rather than how it maybe ought to function, or is there room for dissent? Are there some intellectuals in the department who are think maybe the American project happens at the expense of the rest of the world, and maybe that's okay? Do you guys see a variety of opinions, or do you think there's a lot of collusion going on?
So I think the question is, are there a variety of perspectives and different types of thinking, both with the student body and the faculty here at Korbel?
Absolutely. I have had quite a range. You have a lot of, it's actually a nice blend. I've had professors who have come directly from the armed forces and are Army fellows. And then I also have professors who have been in academia their entire lives. But there's kind of a nice cross, and whatever degree you do, whatever your course load is, you are going to have active practitioners who have now gone into the academic profession, or you're going to have people who have been in academia their entire careers. And so there is this sort of nice blend of a more idealistic view of the world and a more realistic view of the world. And I think that's something we definitely come out very proud of, is this sort of practical idealism. How are we going to apply what it is that we've learned? If you're in international relations, by definition almost, you are an idealist. We want to work on fixing and changing the world. So coming here, you're going to be surrounded by that across the board. You'll have conservatives, you'll have realists, you'll have liberalists, all of that. But there will, in general, be a sort of sense of how is there going to be change. So does that answer your question?
That's a good answer.
All right.
Thank you.
Did anyone have anything else?
No one.
Okay, in the back.
You were saying how we can make change, and my question is especially for the international development. Do you feel prepared to, like after graduating, do you feel like you're prepared to start like a nonprofit and run it yourself, sort of a thing, or is that not where the curriculum sort of took you?
So the question is, after you and maybe this is directed to Aaron, or any of our development.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
3 of them.
Do you feel prepared to start a nonprofit, having had this degree with the skills and experiences that you've had?
I think the benefit of attending the school is kind of you get this variety of thinking, and you're, depending on when you come into the school, I had been removed from the academic world for 4 years, so I was a little bit rusty on writing and everything. And I came back in here, and it really polished up some skills that had kind of been sitting on the shelf for a while. And I think that, in combination with the internships that I had, did prepare me for that. I think, you get involved with different organizations, and doors just open up, and you're surrounded by other people that those opportunities do arise. And I think that I am prepared, and actually doing something like that now. So.
And also, I mean, it applies to all degrees. I think when I started my program, the statement was that the school was so academia oriented for a long time that some of the feedback has been that maybe we're not prepared as much for the real world as we need to be by the time we graduate. So that very year, I think the school has attempted to balance the program better between the academic courses and the more practical courses, if you will, hands-on training, if however you want to call it. And I think they're all still there. If you just get a good mix of them, I think you'll be in good shape, because I specifically remember, like, in terms of NGO, there was a course that I've attended, and I can't remember the name of it exactly right now. It's something about managing an international NGO or something, where you would actually sit and fill out applications and work on a budget for your own NGO, the idea of an NGO. So you actually would create one, and there is a variety of courses like that. So if you just make sure that you balance out 50-50 or however you see fit, I think you're going to be well prepared. It worked well for me, because I was I already knew at that point in time that project management is going to be my thing. Same thing, they had 2 courses on project management where you would actually sit and create project plans hands-on, and those were your papers, and that was the first thing that I did out of school, straight on. So I think as long as you know exactly, coming into the first semester, you already probably should have an idea in mind what kind of a job you're going to be getting in 2 years or want to get, and just make sure that all your courses are gearing towards that goal, and they're balanced between the academic and the practical end.
I would completely agree. I work in the nonprofit sector and within nonprofit management, for that matter. And what really moved me toward that was were the classes that I took here at the school that were on nonprofit management, fundraising, and understanding how nonprofits work. I can't say enough about having real work experience. If you want to run a nonprofit, you can't just get a degree and do it. Running a nonprofit, working at Goodwill, it scares me. I would never want to run a nonprofit like Goodwill. It's huge. But you might even find that once you get a better understanding of the nonprofit sector and how many nonprofits there are, that the idea you have for your nonprofit might already exist, and there isn't a need for it. So there's lots of, like Olga was saying, if you know what your goal is, you know what you are most interested in, every single course you take, you can gear your research, your paper, your understanding of that class towards what your goal is. And that's what I loved about this school so much. Every single paper I wrote, I loved. I thought I did an awesome job. It was exactly what I wanted to research. It was exactly what I wanted to write about. And the professors all supported that.
Yeah, just to reiterate what other people have said, that's what distinguished Joseph Korbel School to others for me. A lot of the East Coast programs were so linear and either extremely public policy focused or law focused, and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So, and the Joseph Korbel School allows that. There is standard curriculum, but you can, in terms of what courses to take, just kind of a baseline, but you can, in a sense, come up with your own concentrations as long as you can justify them and find the courses for that. So a lot of people do nonprofit management. There's a class for fundraising of nonprofits. There's international project analysis, project management, all of those kind of things that'll help you. So.
And just to add to that real quick, we have 6 master's degree programs, 5 of which are called terminal degrees, which is an awful way of describing them, but essentially it does mean that they're giving you very practical skills so that you go on and you work as opposed to staying in academia. International studies is the one that's more theoretical in nature, where if you do want to go on for a PhD, that's a great program to get that theoretical component. So we have time for one more question. Go ahead.
I hate to ask you this question, but what's your least favorite thing or something that you would change about Korbel?
So what's your least favorite thing or something that you would want to change about Korbel? Good question.
The amount of loans I'll have to pay back.
Good answer.
I actually came in with my language proficiency completed, but I wish that at DU we had an advanced Arabic program. There is up to sort of an intermediate level, but I wish we had advanced because I'd like to keep using that. I do private tutoring with a PhD student, but I wish that was there. But otherwise, that's really my only complaint.
I'd have to agree with that. I had taken Spanish and Italian, and when I got here, I wanted to, learn more, become fluent in Spanish, and I found it very, very difficult to find the right class. I kind of needed a speedier, quicker class, and I had to kind of take classes with undergrads, and it was kind of weird. And I actually ended up taking my proficiency exam in Italian. So yeah, I think that the language aspect of it is if you want to learn a new language, it's not really the best program for that.
I hated the statistics course. No, but seriously, I think one challenge that I had was the course descriptions. I don't know how it is now. I've been out of here 6 years ago, but the course descriptions are maybe not necessarily always the best way to choose your courses. So if I had to just give you a word of advice, I would say before you choose your courses, start well in advance, register in advance, but also go and talk to the professors that are going to be teaching them, because then they would have a really, really good idea, because sometimes the descriptions I don't think were 100% read exactly what I was expecting from the courses, but talking to the professors definitely helps. Yeah, and students who took them before, yeah.
I think for me, the piece that was difficult, I think it's changed now as evidenced by these statistics and whatnot, there was a lack of focus on kind of job training and job growth in the Denver area. And I didn't know what I was going to do when I first came into the school, and as I progressed, I knew that I was going to stay in Denver. And there was limited opportunities in the international development field being in Denver. I think that's changed now with the alumni group has made a concerted effort to really reach out to folks who are living and working in the Denver area. And also the nature of the city of Denver is kind of blossoming into this city that has sustainability and kind of development and all these opportunities that even if you are getting an international degree, there's a lot of organizations that are attracted to kind of this way of living and this way of thinking here. So I think those opportunities now are so much greater than when I was here. And the school has kind of done a good job to make sure that they're not only focusing on the international aspects in the Washington, D.C. and Boston area, but also the local area that kind of supports the school as well.
I refuse to end this on a negative question or response. Good question, great responses. Is there one more kind of very quick question that we can get to?
I think that gentleman right there was raising his hand 5 times.
Garrick, go for it.
Yeah, I don't know if mine is a good question. But
Oh no.
So, did you guys have an opportunity to study at another school, and what made you choose Korbel?
So did you have an opportunity to study at another school, and why did you choose Korbel?
I was accepted to BU, and their program was not as in-depth as the program here at the Korbel School. And also, I love Colorado. I did my undergrad at CU, and I knew that I wanted to come back here and live here, so that's why.
This was actually my first choice because it wasn't DC, it wasn't East Coast. So when I got in, I just kind of was like, oh, I came out and visited and knew right away. I actually got on the metro to the Idealist Fair down in DC where I met Brad and during the application process, and was like, how do I get a scholarship? He was very firm in his answers. So yeah, I kind of knew just from the outset that this was a place that I wanted to be. So.
Same here. I kind of answered that before, just that I had a chance to go to a couple East Coast schools, but the Korbel School was my first choice as well, simply because of the flexibility, the location, and I just loved everything about the program, the fact that it combined a lot of practical skills with the theory, all of those things. So.
You know, I knew I wanted to stay in Colorado, so for me, it was just a choice of schools here, so either CU or here. And, you know, I just talked to a couple of people, alumni, and the experience was so positive, you know, the quality of teaching, that nice private character to it, if you will. I think that attracted me a lot. And then I think most importantly, what I was told at the time, that in terms of diversity, you know, it was ranked very, very high among the other schools of international studies, and to me that was really, really important, and that's exactly what it turned out. And you know, obviously it's horrible to live in Colorado where sunshine 365 days a year. Plus, you know, I was never regretting this choice because. Not only I did get one of those merit scholarships in my second year of the program, you know, based on my grades, which was fantastic help, but also, you know, I spent a lot of time with the Career Development Office in the second year, and I really, really dug deep into all those papers as to what you should be doing when you start looking for a job in your second year, and, you know, I think it worked for me.
Yeah, I also got into a couple different Peace Corps programs on the East Coast, and also applied to a school in Sweden, the Lund University, and ultimately chose DU. Because of my engagements with them, I asked a number of different questions, and the responses that I got from the people here satisfied what I wanted out of a school and out of an institution, so ultimately made that choice.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up. Thank you to our students and our alums for talking about their experiences, and a few of us will be here for another 15 to 20 minutes, so if you do have questions, feel free to come find us, and thank you all for being here, and the admissions office is right there. So if you are around Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, we are there. Feel free to email us, contact us however, and good luck, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks.